Very good. Somebody said, Neetu, she's writing sets and manages employee expectation. Very good point. Manages employee expectation. Now, what will happen if we manage employee expectations? Result will be it creates trust between organization and people, which is the employee. Because when you know that this is the clear policy and this is what my company will follow, irrespective of the level in the hierarchy, irrespective of the nationality of the person, irrespective of the relationships in the company, we all will be having a standard course of action. Then people start trusting the organization. It develops trust in the management and the organization. Good. All right. Anything else we have? Okay. So it also it also fixes recurring chronic issues. If you see some issues which are there since many years and recurring again and again, then a process or a policy can help us. Okay. I think it's good for now. So you can see these are some of the benefits of policies. Obviously, the number one benefit will be it helps us to align with our vision, mission, and strategy. That's number one. It guides our people, our staff, to have to follow certain policies, to follow certain value system. One second. Yeah. To follow certain policies, to follow certain value system. It helps us to ensure the best practices, and managers, employees are informed that what kind of behavior is acceptable in this company, what is not acceptable in the company. Policies help us to create a culture. Now, whatever culture you want to develop, you can develop it only through policies. Right? So a culture is as good as your values and your policies. Make decisions. It helps us to make good decisions, which means decisions which are well thought and which are aligned with the organizational goals. And it helps us to identify the best course of action in a given situation. Compliances, protects legal interest, saves time, removes ambiguity, and you can avoid discrimination. It manages employee expectations, creates trust, fixes recurring chronic issues in the company. Right. So these are some of the reasons why you should have policies. You should write policies. Like I said, you should have written policies. So just a summary of, I think what we have discussed will be repeated here again. So we'll quickly cover it. Policies are developed to help staff and management run the organization. Like laws are there to run a country, policies are there to run a company. Policy play a strategic role in an organization. Sometimes you may take decisions. You may think about taking decisions based on a particular scenario, a particular person in the company, or a situation which has never occurred so far, right? Like this COVID situation that has happened. So in all such unforeseen and even in predictable circumstances, it helps us to make decisions which are aligned with the organizational goals. They become media by management plans, rules, intents, right? Okay, it saves countless hours. Imagine if there is no policy on the same issue, four people in the room may take four different decisions, which leads to ambiguity, which leads to friction between the people. The standard of making decision is not even. So it helps us to make even-handed decisions. Saves countless hours, thousands of hours sometimes, which you may spend just debating about a particular behavior, about a particular person or situation. If you have a policy, it is very easy to give a decision on that. Also, policies tells the employee that this company can make even-handed decisions. They can they give importance to all the employees in the company, and it also can protect the legal interest, like someone said earlier. Other reasons like quick settlement of misunderstanding, reduces the range of individual decisions, covering the recurring situation like we discussed. Now, what is a policy? So, policy is a guideline, an instruction, but it's not a simple guideline or instruction. It is a predetermined course of action, which means it's a strategic decision, right? So it's a predetermined course of action established as a guide towards goals and objectives of the organization. What we are going to do if this happens? For example, what if a person is found drunk at the workplace? Then what we will do? Answer is Article 99, which states that anyone who is found drunk at the workplace will be given punishment or will be immediately terminated as per article number 99, right? So this is how a predetermined course of action is there when we are creating policies. Right, sometimes people have this confusion. I hope this group, you all have clarity in your mind. What is the difference between policy and procedure? Are they same or there is a difference? There is a difference. So what is the difference? Policy is what needs to be done, what you need to do in a particular situation, what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. That is policy. So policy is what? Whereas procedure is how you will do it. That's the procedure. Policy is what, procedure is how. So which will be in more detail, policy or procedure? Which will have more detail? The answer is procedure. Procedure will be more detailed and there will be number of steps in a procedure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. Policy will always be concise. So usually what you will put in your employee handbook, policy or procedure? When you are creating employee handbook, the answer is policy. Yes, in employee handbook, we will put policies. Good. True. Okay, now this is already covered in I think previous chapter, and I have again talked about it, connecting mission and policy. So like we discussed, it all starts with the vision. The vision is usually long-term goal. So this long-term goal is now divided into mid-term or mid to long-term, which is a mission, and then further it is broken down into smaller goals. Okay. So this is clear to everyone, I hope. Mission statement should be clear to everyone, right? Okay, it reminds me of an assignment from the last module. Did we discuss in the last class? There was one assignment. Did we share one assignment? I think I asked you to create one vision statement and then values along with vision statement and see how they are aligned. Now, did you complete that? Because if you do that, then you will understand what I'm saying.
I think you said you would give us assignments from this class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you didn't give us anything last week.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. So maybe it was the previous one then, previous class, I think. I'm sorry. So yeah, basically what we need to understand is from the last unit, as we discussed, we need to have a vision statement. Then that vision statement should represent organizational goals. It should represent even the strategy of the organization, where we want to go, and also it should be aligned with the culture that we are trying to create in the organization. That's why I said value system is very important. So creating that vision and value alignment is the most important aspect of it. And once you have those values and culture also decided, or you have a well thought value system, then it is very easy for us to create policies which help us to drive that value system. Okay. So I think these points become self-explanatory once we discuss this alignment. Okay. So I don't feel we need to. Yes. Now there are certain objectives for different types of policies. In an organization, there can be range of objectives because organization is a very complicated machinery, and there may be multiple objectives. It's not just being you know having a very good HR or human resource policy and human resource function in the company, but there are many other systems in the company, like your IT, like your finance, like your marketing, like your sales, etc. For example, you want to make a presentation to your people, or you want to make policies in a very simple way, but your marketing intervenes. Your marketing says, boss, this is our brand statement. We need to make sure that whatever we write, whatever we share with people and outside, we need to carry that brand. So you need to follow that also, right? You need to honor your marketing policies, because that's an objective, to create a brand. Now that objective drives how you create policy, right? So when you are creating policy, you have to think about your objectives that your organization is trying to achieve. To create a brand, everything should appear in a neat fashion. Everything should be appear in a pre-decided strategic model, or your PPTs, your simple things like your business cards, right? So all marketing is linked to all these processes. So that's one example, marketing. Now think about IT. For example, let's say we allow our people, because we are a company which believes in having freedom at workplace. We allow people to make decisions. We allow people to work freely. It's not mandatory to sit in one position entire day. So we are an open organization. So some of the employee may feel, okay, we are an open organization. It means that we sit here, we can watch YouTube, we can watch Facebook, and we can open our personal emails in the company and company hours and do whatever. Any normal company would allow that. But if you look at the business objective, your business objective is also to protect our data, protect our latest research. Imagine you are a bank, okay? And the computers in a bank, they all have sensitive information. Now, in a bank, can you have this policy that you are allowed to open your personal email ID, Facebook account, or all these accounts? The answer is no. You won't be allowed. Why you won't be allowed? Because of security reasons, because there is a bigger objectives. There is a bigger objective, and your freedom or your, I would say, open culture, where you feel that I can choose whatever social media I want to use during office hours. I should be allowed to do that, or I should be allowed to do all of this, which will be an issue for the confidentiality, uh, for the trust of our customers. So that will not be allowed. So in this model of vision, mission, values, you can fit another word, which is objective, right? Objectives are again usually long-term goals. So objective is nothing but descent of your vision and mission. So vision, mission, values, then objectives, then policies, and then procedures, right? So that is one more thing which we can add to this. But usually, even if you say direct vision to values, that's also is fine, right? These are various types of objectives a company may have. I have given you some more strategic objectives, but these are simple objectives, like, for example, quality the first time, quality every time. This is an objective of Toyota, for example. So whatever we do at Toyota, we should do it right at the first time only. Now that's a quality that we are referring to. Minimize the product return, optimize the cost of quality. Now that's all objectives for the quality, and they will affect your policies, right? The objectives will affect your policies. Now, like I said, we have made a small change. We have mission. 1 second. So we have first vision and mission, then we have values, then we have strategic objective, then we have policies, and then we have procedures. And like I said, there should be an alignment between all, from vision to procedure. There should be an alignment. Now coming to the policy manual. So there are three, we can say there are three steps: formulation, implementation, and evaluation. So we will go one by one. Creating policy manual. So what is the first thing when you are creating a policy manual or employee handbook? What is the first thing that we will develop? The answer is an index. So index here simply means list of all the policies. List of all the policies and procedures. Okay, so Here we will share some of the policies and procedure, and then I may ask from you guys as well, and then if required, I will explain one by one. So what is employment will? Anyone wants to explain? What is employment at will? And why it is important? Okay, who wants to share? Employment at will. What is employment at will? Going to office when you want and not going to office when you don't want. No, obviously not, right? Or doing what you want, not doing what you don't want. No, that's not true. Employment at will means, oh, finally someone is writing something. Yes, Mercy, she's right. Employment on your consent. Very good. Now let me explain to you, because some of you may think it is something else. Employment at will means that you have consented for the employment. There is no force on you to be in the employment. You have expressed your consent. You have given your consent to work in this company. Okay? And the company also has given a consent to hire you, to pay you in return. Now, let me give you two scenarios, and you have to tell me if it is employment at will or not. A company has a policy that once you join our organization, okay, you can leave the organization whenever you want by paying the notice period. Second, you joined an organization and then they say that you cannot leave the organization till the organization wants you to leave. So which one has employment at will? Obviously the first one, right? The first one. Now the second one does not have employment at will. Now, keeping this in view, in UAE, do we have employment at will or not? Do we have employment at will? Yes. Yes, very good. But what if they ban you? If they ban you, then you have employment at will? Okay. If they ban you, do you still have employment at will? The answer is yes. And it will help you to clarify this doubt. So employment at will does not mean that whatever you want company will do, or whatever the company will want you will do. No. It means both the parties have signed an agreement, a contract, that there are certain terms and conditions of this contract. One of the terms is that you will work for the company for 2 years. Now, it doesn't mean you are a slave for the company for 2 years. You can leave the company at any point of time in any of these 2 years. You can leave it tomorrow. You join today, you can leave it tomorrow. But there are certain terms and conditions. One condition is you are in a limited contract, then you have to pay notice period salary of these many days. Second, if you have not completed 6 months, you may be banned for 6 months. but you cannot be stopped. That ban says that you cannot come back in UAE for next 6 months, but it doesn't say that you cannot go. You can go whenever you want, right? So it is an employment at will. You are in this country, in this company, sorry, till the time you want to be in the company. The day you want to leave the company, you can leave by law. You just have to pay whatever, compensation or whatever employment period, notice period, or whatever is there in the terms of the contract. You have to fulfill those terms, but it is still employment at will. Whereas there may be some services where there is not employment at will. Like imagine you are working in FBI, you are working in CID, CBI. Will you get employment at will? Most probably not, right? You will be not. Even in the government services, many of the government services, you do not get employment at will, which means that you cannot leave as and when you want. So what it means simply is the terms will be much stricter, and some of the terms you will not be able to fulfill. Okay. Otherwise, like for example, think about a department like CID or CBI or FBI, etc. You have the critical information about the country, about certain, let's say, party or about a company, and then you resign and you take advantage of that information. That's why in such organizations, they will not allow you to have employment at will. Okay, there will be more foundations. Whereas in private companies, there are always employment at will. But still, in some countries, even in the Middle East only, I will not name any of the country, but there are conditions where you cannot leave the country, you cannot leave the job without consent of the company. If you cannot leave the country or the place or the job without consent of the organization, then is it employment at will? No, it is not employment at will then. Now it becomes more closer towards slavery. Not slavery exactly, but closer towards slavery. Okay? And there are contracts in Middle East. Such contracts exist in some countries where you are not allowed to leave the country without approval from your company. You are not allowed to have your passport. You are not allowed to have this, that, etc. Okay? So I hope by now everyone is clear about employment at will. Now let's take another equal opportunity and commitment to diversity. Now, who wants to explain that? Anyone wants to explain what is equal employment opportunity? You might have heard a lot about this term.
Basically, I think to do with, it can also be like gender equality. It could also be about diversity, as in like nationality wise. Sometimes some companies are very strict when it comes to only hiring a specific nationality of people. But then this is more of being open. It also could be about um, when you have like people with special needs, or people with determination who wants to work. So you also have that kind of inclusion policy where you don't discriminate people based on those kind of if they don't have those abilities, at least they can still be a part of the organization.
Very good.
I think these are the three main points.
Absolutely right. Very good, Akshaya. So equal employment, like she explained, it's not just treating everyone as equal in the company, but it is much more wider. Like somebody was talking about diversity and inclusion. Yes, Diversity and inclusion is also part of EEO, equal employment opportunity. Being fair towards everyone that you hire. Yes, good. Everyone has equal chance. Yes, right. Good. Yes, open to all nationalities, religions, etc. Right. So basically, it means that everyone in the company is equal and they will be treated as equals, irrespective of their place in the hierarchy, the number of years they have spent in the company. Now, these things become very important when you explain this and train about equal employment opportunity. For example, what kind of uh, bias you may see in an organization? A very common bias is old people not treating new people equally or not treating them well. That can be one of the bias in the company. So your EEO should protect that. Even if you are 10-year-old in the company or you just joined today, you both are equal for the policies and for the law of the company. If you do something wrong, then even if you are 10-year-old, you will face the consequences, right? So that is also part of equal employment opportunity. When it comes to promotion, when it comes to transfer, when it comes to salary increment, everyone will be treated as equal. What it means? No vasta will decide whom to promote. Everyone will be treated as equal. Commitment to diversity. Now, this is a modern concept, say, and I have seen very less organization really understanding what is diversity and inclusion. So, like I said, it is a modern best practice. All these are best practices: employment at will, equal opportunity, harassment, etc. These are, in every country internationally, these policies must be there in your employee handbook without any excuse. Talk about commitment to diversity or diversity. Some people think diversity means hiring from different countries. One Indian, one Pakistani, one Bangladeshi, one Sri Lankan, one Arabic, one person from Europe, one person from there. It means that we are diverse. No. Diversity is not limited to the nationality, passport, skin color. No. When we say diversity and inclusion, it means diversity of thoughts is allowed. So diversity of thought is allowed, which means I may disagree with you. Okay? You are my boss, but I disagree with you on certain things, but we are fine working together. It means this company has diversity and inclusion. We still respect each other. We do not agree on certain points, but we respect each other. We work together. We have professional relationships. We achieve together. But there are differences of opinion, which are respected by both the parties. That is what we call having true diversity and inclusive behavior. If the company says that, whatever one person is saying, whatever CEO is saying, everyone has to think that way. Now, that is not diversity and inclusion. Yes, you can say that whatever CEO says, everyone has to follow that, do whatever he's saying. That is fine. But he cannot push someone to think and agree on whatever he is saying. Now, this diversity and inclusion, like I said, which is the true meaning of diversity and inclusion, it will take some more time for organizations to understand and behave in this manner. But it is still a policy. Then harassment. So harassment can be of different types. Can anyone Want to share? Anyone wants to share? There can be various types of harassment. Can you give me some examples of harassment? So let's say harassment can be physical, harassment can be mental, and harassment can be sexual. Hmm. So physical, can you give me some examples of physical harassment? Okay, hitting each other. Yes, punch, hurt. All right. Okay. All right. That is fine. Physical pushing. What about asking someone to, lift something which he or she cannot lift? Asking someone to do something which is uh, in an environment which is very, very tough for a human being, like asking someone to work under sun 50 degrees centigrade. So all that is physical harassment. Hmm? Unnecessary straining someone physically, that is physical harassment. Then mental harassment. So what is mental harassment? Like Wali said, one example of mental harassment is religious harassment, right? Mental harassment example is religious harassment also. That okay, my religion is superior to yours, or at the workplace having such discussions and creating a group and letting others down who do not follow your religious thought process. That's a mental harassment. Hmm? Uh, let me give a few examples. There was one lady in my class, and she shared this example. Her son was autistic. She was from Abu Dhabi, and she had a son who was 7, 8 year old. So she said, I used to leave my office sharp at 5 o'clock because my son's school ends at 5, but still I used to reach there by 5:30 because her child was autistic. She will reach the school at 5:30. She will pick him up, and she will reach home by 6 o'clock. Now she was working in this company for 3 good years, and it was a semi-government company in Abu Dhabi. Now a gentleman joined the company as her senior, as her boss, and then he said that one day he said, I have seen that some people they leave by 5 o'clock every day, whereas I stay in office for till 6 o'clock. So I expect everyone not to work like it's a government company, and if required, you should spend half hour, 1 hour extra. Now, obviously, he was pointing out to this girl, this lady as well. Things started getting worse, and he started mentally harassing her. So how does it happen? For example, when he passes by, he will say, somebody is looking at the wall, looking at the uh, clock now. Somebody is about to leave in next 15 minutes, right? Or how some people can leave when their boss is still working in the office. Now, knowingly that she cannot stay, this is typical mental harassment, right? Do you agree with me? Is it harassment or not? How do you see? Maybe I'm just seeing it as harassment. Yes. Yes. Another example is uh, We have new we have two countries here, two friendly neighbors. In east we have two best neighbors. They are like brothers, two countries. They are rivals in cricket matches. Now this boss who belongs to a certain country, he is the department manager, and this girl, she is executive in the department, officer in the department. Every time there is a match between these two countries, he will come and he will say, "Ha ha ha! No one can, stop our boys, and we are going to win this and that, and you are good for nothing. That this country is good for nothing." And she used to feel bad that why is speaking wrong about my country all the time. Yeah. And even when the match is over, whatever, let's say now his his nation, he lost the match. Now he will come and he will say, "Okay guys, no one will leave today, we all have to work overtime, we all have to, there are deadlines, and we have to, just to make others feel bad, he will try to." It's such a funny situation. So this is again an example where you are mentally harassing a person just because he or she does not uh, belong to your thought process or agree with your thought process. So you are misusing your position uh, to force your thoughts on someone. So yeah, again, this is a very funny example, and when this girl was explaining to me, I really laughed a lot. I cannot openly share what happened, but yes. Yeah, it helps. And like somebody said, workplace bullying. Like initially, I started sharing example of people who are old in the company. They may bully new people. That's also harassment. So it can be physical, mental, and sexual harassment as well, which I hope everyone understands. It doesn't. Sexual harassment is not limited to an act or forcing someone onto someone, but it can be some gestures, leering, some obscene material, even an email or WhatsApp message. Anything can be treated as content of sexual harassment, right? So we should be very, very careful, and we should explain it to our people. Like I can give an example of a case which was treated as sexual harassment, and the person, uh, I think now he's out of jail. He was in jail for 2 years. So this was a company in Abu Dhabi, and the operation manager, he had some issue with uh, one of the people, one of the girls in his department. So initially everything was great. Then he started asking her to stay late because he will stay late in the office 1 hour extra, and he started pushing her as well that you should stay till you can come late 1 hour and go 1 hour late. So this is how it started. And then there were claims made by the girl about, you know, being touched or not, or, all that stuff. It came to HR. HR called the operational manager. Operations manager said, "I didn't do any of these things. Whatever she's saying, she's lying. I didn't do anything." Obviously, why he would say that I had? The head of HR was my friend, and he asked me what we should do. This is the situation. And he called the girl, and she explained everything, and she was telling the truth as per the HR person. Anyway, the HR was working under influence of the management, and finally he decided that whatever management says, it's their company at the end of the day. Whatever they decide, we have to follow that. So he started a report, and then he said that we interviewed or we discussed with these people, and everyone said that there was no fault from the operations manager, and this girl, she might have taken something wrong, in a wrong manner, whatever was discussed. Now, obviously, it was not resolved in house in a professional manner. What I suggested was that operations, if he has done all this thing, he operations manager should talk to this lady, this girl, and should say, "I'm sorry, I will not repeat it," and just finish the matter, with amicable agreement, which unfortunately did not happen. So this girl, she went to police. She called police that this is what happened, and police also asked that, "Do you have any proof of anything? At least something, if you." She gave the WhatsApp message to the police officer that this is the WhatsApp message I received. This was enough for police to immediately come to the office, and they took the person away, and he spent 2 years in jail. Obviously, whatever she told the police, I don't know personally the entire story, but he spent 2 years in jail. Now, what we learn from this story, what we learn is that the importance of these policies, we often ignore the importance of these policies, why these policies are created and written every time in this book, in employee handbook. Imagine if this operations manager, when he was hired, somebody, I'm sure if I was the HR manager, I will give him so much of information, and I will give him so many examples of these policies that he will not dare in his life to do such a thing. But he was thinking that I will easily get away from this, you know this will be over, and I nothing will happen because I am the manager. She is not even she is just an officer level person who recently joined 6 months back. She is not even confirmed in the company, right? So this is the importance of explaining these policies to people. And because what happened in the end, what happened, his career got spoiled. Now this operations manager, he is having 4 children, wife. They stayed here for a good 6 months. Then they cannot sustain themselves for more than 6 months. They thought he will be out before that. They couldn't sustain. They went to home country. Now this person stayed in jail for around 2 years here. Now these unfortunate incident cannot be completely stopped. I understand. Be minimized by having good policy, and not only good policy but explaining that policy properly to your people. That is even more important, right? So uh, so my objective was that you should understand, and you should understand the importance of such policies, and at least in your organization, try to follow the best practices. Now, complaint procedure, I think everyone understands. Complaint procedure simply means that we set up a procedure that if such a harassment case comes to the light, then what is first step? Who is the first person you should be informing? Maybe the HR department, right? Or HR manager, or employee relations manager, whosoever, or your department head. You need to create a process. Step one is registering the complaint. Step two is investigation in that complaint. Step three is coming to a decision. Step four is arbitration. Step five is reaching to a mutual conclusion, hmm? mutual agreement. So this is how you should draft a 5-step procedure even for the harassment policies. Okay, next is conflict of interest. Will anyone share what is conflict of interest? What is conflict of interest? A different opinion? No. This is a different opinion is not conflict of interest. Different opinion is. So, what is conflict of interest? Argument between the employee? No. Yeah, Maria says, okay, yes, 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 very good. Eddie gives a good example, family members in the same department. That is conflict of interest. Someone gain the personal benefit. Yes. Your personal project align with company goal and project. Very good. Daria, good example. Very good. Maha's definition I like the most so far. A conflict of interest occurs when an entity or individual becomes unreliable because of a clash between personal interest. Hmm. Family working as a competitor. Very good. Yes, Akshay, right. Hmm. Okay, good. And bias, some kind of bias towards your favorite. Good, very good. So, see, this is what we need to. That's why I always ask you guys to share because you never know. Even I get a new perspective sometimes. So, conflict of interest is not just limited to your family, friends, but even within the department. Let me give a few examples to make it clear to you. A sales executive, she's reporting to a sales manager. Now, the sales manager is working with this girl for around 3 months. Now they starts a dating relationship. Okay, they start dating. Do you think something changed between them or everything is same? Right. So something changed. I would say even everything changed. The day they start dating, everything changed. What will happen? The sales manager will give her more leads, right? The sales manager will always give her more attention. He will give her softer target, better customers, you know. Now, all this is naturally going to happen. She will take advantage of the relationship. He will close the eyes, yes. So, all this will happen. Why? Because there is a conflict of interest now. Okay. Another example. Recently, my wife's company, they wanted to have some consulting services for her department. Now, my wife said, will your company be interested? Will you be interested in providing those services? And I immediately told her that I will be definitely interested, but I will not do that. Why I will not do that? For her sake, isn't it? Because it will always be seen as conflict of interest. That you were the head of the department, you had the option of choosing between vendors, and you chose your husband. So that is definitely a conflict of interest. Choosing your husband's company as a vendor. right? Okay, so that is a conflict of interest. Hiring, let's say I am HR manager, hiring my brother in the company. He is fantastic. He is, highly skilled. He is having best, grades in the college. He is best of the lot. Even in that, if you hire him, how it will be seen by other people in the company? Do they feel that he is hired on merit, or they will feel that he is hired because of vasta? The answer is obvious, right? They will always feel that he hired him because of vasta. And he will always be seen as a product of vasta rather than a product of merit. Now, that is also a conflict of interest. Even it's a small thing. Recently, I was hiring a person for my company. In my company, I recently hired a person. So I saw a list of applicants around, in the final round, there were 5, 6 people. And one of the person was my student who applied. So one of my student applied to my company for a job. Now I said, okay, that's good. It's nice to see him after a long time, and I will meet him and definitely I will interview him. But when I was interviewing him, I felt like there is something wrong. I interviewed this person along with other candidates. I interviewed him as well. But I felt that I was biased towards him. So when the recruitment manager, when she asked, so, sir, what do you think whom we should hire? Do you think this guy was fine? I said, obviously, I will say he is the number one choice because he was my student. But that's why I am doubting. Because I felt during the interview that I'm not able to interview him properly. Because there was a feeling of, attachment, some kind of, like, for example, if we spend next 8 weeks together, then 8 weeks in Chrm, and then some other courses, we have spent 6 months, 1 year together in various courses, and you know me, I know you. This is actually slightly far because I cannot see your live faces all the time. But in the classroom, it's like, meeting these people every week. And you have spent a lot of time with these people. Like, mm, if they have attended 2 courses, then 16 weeks multiply by 348 hours. Imagine if you have spent 48 hours with a person, you will know all their positives and negatives, and you will be definitely biased towards them. If you like them, you will be biased. So which happened in that case, and I said to the recruitment manager that, okay, I cannot take a decision on him. Better that you guys take the final interview. So my team took the interview. So that is conflict of interest. So that's why you will find HR manager are never they never in a company, because they are in a powerful position, right? You can choose whom to reject, whom to select. And if obviously if there is a family member of yours, then you will always have a bias towards him or her. So that is conflict of interest. Also, conflict of interest leads to uh, many other things. Like, for example, bribery, right? Getting undue advantage from a situation because you are in the decision making situation. Let's say you are the procurement manager. Now you finalize the vendor. Vendor will always try to seduce you with some commission, 5%, 2%, whatever, I don't know. So that's naturally conflict of interest. So we should have a clear policy on this. Confidential information, it is more related to people like sales, marketing, research and development, and finance. Even HR, they also have confidential information which they are not allowed to share. Yes. Yeah. So Mohammed is asking that in our company we have our company is full of family members. How do you think about a family company? Yeah, so I think in such a scenario, when you have full of family members, imagine if some few people are from outside, they will never feel the same way like your family. If it's a small company with all of you are family members, that's not a problem. Okay. But when you have a mix of family plus others, then these others will always be intimidated by these family members, right? Who will get the senior most position? How many of your family members will report to a person from outside? And will the person from outside feel safe when he knows that the person who is reporting to me is the brother of CEO, right? So it is not going to work. Usually doesn't work. Yeah. So people always feel intimidated. No? My sister and I used to work in the same company, had absolutely no issue. However, we were in different departments. Yes. Yes, Daria, that's the key. You are in different departments, no problem. Your jobs doesn't intersect, or it really, you are not in a, then there is no conflict of interest, no, Daria. When you and your sister working in different department is not a conflict of interest, but you and your sister reporting to each other, like you reporting to your sister or your sister reporting to you, that's a conflict of interest. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it really depends. I mean, you are right. I would like to agree with you, but as far as what I have seen and what I have experienced is that we need to have clear policies regarding these matters. Like for example, we used to have this policy, and I always propose such a policy where people from the same family should not be in a reporting relationship. That's my firm belief. Husband and wife, if they work in the same department, that is going to cause trouble today, after 2 months, after 3 months, after 6 months. I don't know. I had a case where the father was regional manager and the son was one of the employees in his region, and father was giving annual appraisals, and then his son's name appeared. Now what this father will do, whatever he does is a conflict of interest. He cannot be extra hard on his son. If he is extra hard, then it is not an equal employment opportunity, isn't it? So it is going to create complications in the company. And in especially now, these problems happen when companies are big. In small companies, such issues won't be noticed. But when you have a big company, when you have proper policies and procedures in place, then you will face such issues. Yeah. All right. Okay. So confidential information, I hope everyone understands. No need to explain. Employment classification, it means a full-time employee, part-time employee, permanent employee, temporary employee. Okay, this is what we will discuss in labor laws. So I hope everyone knows in UAE the work week is 48 hours. 48 hours of work in 1 week. All these are policies related to your organization. I don't that. Employment of relatives and domestic partners, we were just discussing about it, right? Like employment of domestic partners means people who are in live-in relationship or who are husband and wife. So do you have a policy for that? Then it becomes policy for domestic partners. Probation is clear to everyone, 6-month probation, and that is optional. What is emergency closing? Emergency closing means if something happens and like this in during COVID situation, emergency closings happened. So if emergency closing happened and people are sent home, whose responsibility is to pay? Employer's responsibility. They have to pay for the emergency closing. Okay. Attendance, job performance outside. Oh, no need, no need. Yes. Rest is all fine. I think everyone understands. Some are according to the labor law, which you can cover in the labor law chapter. I will take, I think, few minutes on uh, the computer, internet, email, and all these policies. So in this 21st century, one of the key element for an organization and for employees is social media use. And this is a policy which in UAE is, I have seen many bad examples or many organizations not taking it seriously. We can divide the social media into two parts. Use of social media inside office or during office hours. And second is use of social media outside office hours. Okay, like I said, this is a very critical part, and I want you guys to take some action in this direction and learn more about it. Use of social media during working hours. Some companies, like I gave you example of some banks, they will not allow people to use social media during working hours, but you are allowed to have social media outside working hours. But can we allow our employees to use social media in whatever they want, in whatever way they want outside office hours? That's my question. Should we allow our employees to use social media outside the office hours in the way they want?
But we have put into consideration the confidentiality.
Okay, yes. So most of you are saying no, and someone also saying that confidentiality should be honored by them. Okay, yes, true. Now think about certain scenarios. In UAE, you all know that we have a cyber law which is very strict, one of the most strict cyber law in the world. And you spend around 7,000-8,000 dirham on visa of one employee, isn't it so? When you get visa, 7,000 roughly you spend per person. Now imagine because of one mistake, if this person makes one mistake and he is, thrown out of the country. Obviously, your organization not only loses that 7,000 visa cost, but also they lose a lot, right? They can lose a lot. So that's the financial part, but that's not very important. What is very important is this. The day you write your company's name under your name, let's say Maria XYZ LLC, now that social media account no longer stays your social media account. Partially, that account becomes your company's account. Whatever you will post, whatever you will say, it will be seen as the company's spokesperson by the layman. I'm not talking about the law, but for a common layman, oh, one of the Google's employees said this, that Bitcoin is going to go $10,000. What he will say? He will not say one of the investors said this. He will say Google's employee. So it means whatever you said from your social media became your company's voice. For example, if I say something to you here in this training, if I say something which is my personal opinion, but I may say something about a particular law, about a particular nationality, about a particular person, what you will say? You will not say that Mr. Yogesh said something. You will say, in Blue Ocean's online learning class, the trainer said this, right? So, who is getting affected? The organization. So, whenever you put your organization's name in your Facebook, in your LinkedIn, in your Instagram, or anywhere, it partially becomes your company's account. Now, what employer should do? If you are an employer, what you should do? You should ask your employees either not to use the company's name in the social media. If they use, they should take a written permission from the HR department. And third, they should write, whenever they are writing something as a comment or expressing their views, they should write that these views are mine alone and I do not represent my company officially. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the minimum practice that should be followed to save your organization from all this. Now, if you do not do that, what happens? In 2019, a bright Indian chef, I think around 12:30 at night, maybe, I don't know if he had a couple of drinks or not before that. That doesn't matter. So he replied to an Indian actress's Twitter account. She tweeted something and he replied to her tweet. He was sitting in Dubai. And that tweet was not seen in a good light by the local authorities. It was about history of the country. And he wrote something. At 12:30 he tweeted, around 1 o'clock or within 1 hour, the company wrote that the above person no longer works with our company and his views are his own. So basically they terminated him at 1 a.m. in the night. Okay. Another example was an Asian man, like your newspapers say. I will not take the nationality name, okay? So, an Asian man, yeah, it happened, Muhammad. Same thing happened in one of the companies, TransGuard, if you remember. And there was an employee from the company who went to YouTube. On the YouTube, he mentioned that he's so and so person at TransGuard. And he saw a video which he did not like. And in the comment section, he expressed his feelings, right? So next day, TransGuard had to terminate him. So I can give you at least 10 such examples when, due to a small mistake, people either spoiled their career or at least they lost their job. Why? Not because they wanted to do so, because they did not know the laws of the land, because they did not honor the laws of the land, because they were not trained on social media use policy of UAE, right? So that is why it becomes more important for you HR people to go and explain to your folks that this is the policy, and like I said, you should have clear, strict policy. I can give another simple example. I hope you all know that WhatsApp messages in UAE are also always under scrutiny. Basically, all social medias. So one of our account person, he took picture of a currency note and he sent it to our group, company group, and he wrote, "Be careful, fake currency is in circulation." I immediately called him and said, delete this message immediately for everyone. Delete for everyone. Put the click the delete for everyone and don't share it with anyone else but to police. If you want to share it with police only. You are not allowed to share this with everyone else without police. And then once you share it with police, then police will tell you what to do. But obviously, you are not allowed to share this in this country, because the law says whatever shows the country in bad light is not allowed. You are not allowed to share that. Hmm? You are not allowed to wash your linen in public. So this is what we need to explain to our people when they join, and we should take care of all such policies in our employee handbook, also in HR manual. All right. Yeah. So LinkedIn, like for example, LinkedIn, most of you will use only for professional uh, purpose. Okay. Okay. So Edige, yeah, which news you are saying fake news? Okay. So yes, they should still have a freedom of opinion. Yeah, we can have a freedom of opinion. Yes, exactly. Yes, we have to be careful when we are sharing the fake news. Very, very important. Yes, verify it before sharing any news. Before sharing any Twitter, also you should be careful. Um, yeah, Muhammad, people should have a freedom of opinion, but that freedom of opinion cannot supersede the law of the country, right? So the law of country says that whatever you share, it should not represent the country in wrong light, in bad light, sorry. So that is the law. We have to follow the law. Yes, freedom comes with responsibility. That's true. Very good. All right. So we'll have a break now. So I think we'll have a 20-minute break and then we'll continue. Yeah, we can have a tea break. We'll continue after that.